Hey guys, Adrian here with the Upholstery Studio, and today I'll be going over two very basic techniques on how to finish off your seams. One of which being French seaming and the other is the top stitch. These two methods are very easy to execute, and it is a fantastic way to upgrade the look of any project with just these simple tips. So we're going to start with the French seam. And obviously you're going to want to go ahead and sew these together, and as a general rule of thumb, I always leave a 1/2 inch seam allowance on absolutely everything. That guarantees I have enough meat to sew on when I go to top stitch and or French seam. Now the important thing when it comes to French seam is the listing tape. Now this is essentially a thin ribbon you put on the back of the French seam, which helps make it stronger. Because when you go to French seam, you're sewing the seam allowance away from each other, which is actually weakening the seam. So this allows it to get a little bit of strength back so it doesn't rip apart over time. Now all you're going to do is just focus on one side at a time. Occasionally lifting up, making sure your seam allowance is folded the right way, and also making sure it's on top of that listing tape and you're sewing through both layers. Now one thing I do with absolutely everything is I always cut off my seam allowance. Especially with this kind of material I'm using here, this stuff is pre-foam backed, so it can get a little bit bunchy, and cutting off the seam allowance, leaving about an 1/8 inch extra, is usually a good general rule of thumb to keep everything looking nice and flat. Now top stitching is going to be very similar to French seaming, except it's a little bit easier. So start out by sewing both pieces together, still allowing for a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now what you're going to do with the top stitch, instead of folding both sides of the seam allowance separate ways, you're going to fold all of the seam allowance one way and only sew on one side. Now one thing to keep in mind when you're top stitching and French seaming, you actually want to hold the two panels apart from each other. When you just let them relax, they can tend to fold over just a little too much, and the top stitch can look really wavy. So while you're sewing, you want to make sure you're evenly pulling each side, keeping even tension, which allows for a very straight stitch and overall nice top stitch. Now the only reason why I'm actually stapling these up is because I want a good look at how the material looks with this white thread. I'm thinking about using this color combo for an upcoming project I have, and I honestly really like it. Let me know what you think, but I think this seat's going to look really good when I'm done with it. So tune in to future videos. Keep an eye out for that one. And if you've made it this far to the video, thank you very much for watching. If you can see by my shirt, I'm sweating nice and good because it's a brisk 90 degrees in the garage. It's not the easiest workplace to be in. I actually had to go out and buy a couple more fans just to make it a little bit bearable. Paired with the fact I just worked a 60-hour work week, I'm dog tired. So the fact that y'all actually watch my videos really do mean a lot to me, so thank you. And while we're at it, I wouldn't hate you if you subscribed. Like, I know you probably want to, but you wonder, oh, maybe they'll hate me. Your secret's safe with me. I'll look the other way. You can just go ahead and leave that subscribe if you want to. And there you have it. Nice, easy top stitch and French seam. Super easy to do, and I really do think they improve the quality of a job by a significant amount. So next time you go and do a project, give it a shot, see how it looks, tell me how you like it.